Hello, welcome back to Sushi Live Coding. In this episode, I will be showing you how I created this multiplication table and how I'm gonna break it down into its nodes. In the past, I actually taught something similar to this, but I think this one might actually be clearer. Okay, you can see there are actually three different ways we can accomplish this. When you're looking at nodes like this, um, you can actually normally read it from the last nodes and the input nodes. Okay, so you already know this is a 10 by 10 multiplication tables, and the output is actually text, bunch of text object. And here I'm using actually the text viewer, I believe, or the typography viewer. It's called, the name is a bit strange, typography viewer, but it's actually outputting text. Here we have a plane, or this is like a grid. This is how I arrange all this text. I can replace this with line, and this will change. Okay, apparently it doesn't quite like this line. Oh, all right, should be 100. Okay, now the text is arranged like that, just like a line. But we just need it as a grid, okay, for now. So that's how the text is being arranged. But how do we get to 10 by 10 multiplication table? So we can have like 1 times 10 equal 10, 2 times 10 equal 20, right? You know the drill. This is actually quite interesting. Okay, of course we actually start with a number. I know this is going to be 10 by 10s, so I just use a single number, plug into number, and then I have number range. Okay, so this is where it should be clear if I show you the data. We get rid of the rest. So this is what we start with. A list of number. If I control click, I can create this temporal stethoscope. Number from 1 to 10. Same thing here. Number from 1 to 10. And there are three different ways that I use to get to this value. At the end, we actually have 100 lists of numbers. 1 to 100, of course, and each one of them is the result of multiplications. The first method I use is to zip the number, and using formula nodes with this separate and wrap activated, and the result that I get is actually something like this. There's numbers, but it's kind of nested, and we need to get rid of the nestiness or the nestedness. So we have a clean value like this. This is actually what we need, okay? So that's a very much like a Sverchok kind of thinking. You basically work with lists, and then you can nest lists. This is also another example where I'm actually using zip and multiply. It's similar to above, actually. This is formula nodes, can be more complicated. This one is just using multiply. But if you are using this node, you need to use list split and list join, because it doesn't have this separate and wrap. Okay, separate and wrap, another word is list split and list join. I believe that's what's really happening. Okay, so down here we have also something similar, but I'm using product, and I'm using only a single number range. So I can use, actually just use this guy, If I make repeat to 1, it's just kind of like nesting, put this into a nest, but I can repeat it. It's become like a product. So we get this like 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, kind of like what we need for multiplications. And here I'm using another node, exact node mode. This one is quite powerful. You can use Python codes. And here this is actually looking at the x, looking at this list of number, and for every value x and y in this input v1, simply append x multiplied by 1. Okay. And the output, if we actually check it out really quickly, the output is this. But we need, in terms of Sverchok, we normally need to have 2 brackets. So this is what we need before the final result. So this is the value that we're gonna plug into this text, and it should work. Okay, so this one, the matrix tend to crisscross like this. If I put it down there, it's probably cleaner, but it's okay. So that's a 3 different way. Look at that. Let me delete this. 1, 2, 3. The one at the bottom is probably the cleanest one, but probably not easy for beginners. But it's actually quite clean and makes sense. Up here is slightly weird with list split and list join, but then it's easier. It should be easier for beginners, I believe, because here we are kind of okay. We are zipping the data, right? And we want to multiply the data, the list of this number and the list of this number. We want to multiply it and crisscross it, becoming like a product. And there's this separate and wrap. It's actually when you split the data and then you try to join it. In Sverchok, this is like when we are dealing with numbers in the list. But if you have something like box, for example, Sverchok usually create a box like this. If you use the stethoscope and look at the data, this is the vertices of the box. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 vertices with the value of the vertices, XYZ value of the vertices. This is the edge data. This is like a pair, because for the edge, it needs the pair index of the vertices. And for the polygon, we have 4 pair of data for each polygon face. So that's how Sverchok is actually storing the data. This took me a while back then when I first starting to learn Sverchok nodes, but it makes a bit more sense after a while. So this is a value, like list of values where you can you zip it together. Just the result is just this multiplication table, of course, nothing too special, but the whole thing is quite interesting that you are able to do this very quickly. So this formula is not always simple. I mean, of course, this is math, and multiplication is one of the simplest. You can use add, sub, divide, etc., and all this math formula. But the way we zip the value is what's interesting for me. The way we can this is actually how can I say, I know math teachers who don't know how to code. They don't know how to deal with lists, and it's kind of strange for me, because in reality, if you understand math and you understand coding, you can mix the two, and it should, in general, make sense. But anyway, yeah, with the nodes, I think this is pretty clear and quite clean way to explain it. Okay, so in one sentence, basically we start with the numbers and we turn it into a range of numbers that we want to zip and pair together, and we want to see to get the product, the multiplied products of those two lists of numbers. This is how we do it using spreadsheet nodes. All right. So thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.